So normally I wouldn't find myself lying underneath the belly of a car. However, this is no ordinary car. And when I mean it's not ordinary, well, let's just go through a couple of things that I'm staring at right now. There are two big 72mm Turbonetics turbochargers behind the rear axle. There's a big Dana 60 back there. There's a custom 4-link suspension. There are ride height sensors. There's a gear vendor overdrive unit. Well, and everything under this 1966 Plymouth Belvedere, well, is not stock anymore. What you are looking at is quite possibly the greatest Plymouth Belvedere ever made. I think I'm going to lay here for a few more minutes though, because this is pretty impressive.
South of Chicago is the small incorporated village of Manteno, Illinois. Its population is under 10,000 people, and for the most part it's pretty quiet. The best kept secret in Manteno, well, that would be Rad Rides by Troy. And for over 2 decades, Troy Trepanier and his crew have turned out some of the most amazing coach-built hot rods the world has ever seen. There is nothing like watching true craftsmen at work. This is where pride and design meet functionality and build quality. Simply building a car is one thing, but crafting an automobile, well, it's something entirely different. Thankfully, we have the keys to one of them.
So it's quite possible that if you were born after the year 2000, you don't even know who Plymouth was. You see, they're a division of the Chrysler Corporation that bit the bullet back in 1999 after producing such quality products as the Plymouth Acclaim, the Breeze, and of course, the mighty Neon. However, if you're old like me, you remember the heyday of the Plymouth division, the Plymouth that made such cars as the Hemi Cuda, the GTX, and of course the Wing Wonder Superbird. One model that you may have overlooked, though, are the B-body Belvederes that were produced between 1966 and 1967. Now, these slab-sided B-bodies were more of like your grandmother's car than any type of hot rod. However, if you optioned one out with the 426 Hemi, you just ordered one of the baddest sleeper cars ever produced. Now let's go over some famous Belvederes, shall we? The first one, the 1967 Plymouth Belvedere known as the Silver Bullet. Now, this car started out as a development car for Chrysler, and it morphed into what would become one of the baddest, most well-known street racers in the Detroit area. Number 2, Christine, the 1958 Plymouth Fury that was created by Stephen King for, well, Christine, his novel and the movie. Now, I say Plymouth Fury because Fury was a submodel of the Belvedere, right, as a trim package. The third car, the 1966/67 Plymouth Belvedere, that was raced by Richard Petty in NASCAR. Now, in 1966, he won the Daytona 500 with that car. That's badass. Then in 1967, Petty went on to win 27 out of 48 races, making that specific car the most winning car in NASCAR history. The fourth one, you might not know about it until right now, is this car, the 1966 Plymouth Belvedere, built by David Meyer.
When I was 16, I was really wanting my first car, and my mom did not want me to get a car at all. And I wanted a first-gen Camaro, and my dad said, absolutely not. If you're gonna get a car, you're gonna get, quote unquote, one you can build on.
Yeah, first time I had an encounter with a Belvedere was a neighbor of ours had just bought one when we were in high school, and he gave me a ride in it. And he kicked the tires loose at 60 miles an hour going down the road, and that just convinced me at that point, you know, that this was a car you could do something with.
And so we came across a 66 Plymouth Belvedere in a parking lot of a muffler shop, and the guy wanted $200 for it, so bought that on the spot and drove it home, and my dad convinced my mom that that would be an okay father-son project car. And Dad calls me up one day and says, you know, I think I'm gonna fix up your old Belvedere again so I can take it to car shows. And I just said, Dad, if we're gonna do that, let's start with a real Hemi car this time. And so I went on the search for a Hemi car on eBay and found this one in North Carolina. This one had been rolled in 1972, and the second owner of the car is the one that rolled it. And he yanked the Hemi and the transmission and the rear end out of it and put it all in a 318 car and left the rest of it parked underneath a pine tree. It is a real Hemi car. It had the CERTA card there, it had the fender tag, it had the VIN, even found what's left of the build sheet underneath the seat, and sent all that into Galen Govier and had it documented, and yeah, it's a real Hemi car.
Under the hood, we have a 526 cubic inch Hemi. On motor, it probably makes 700 horsepower and 700 pound-feet of torque. But what you're not seeing are the twin 72mm Turbonetics turbos that are mounted behind the rear axle that push this thing to, well, a solid 1,600 horsepower at 20 pounds of boost. It's so fast! This car is on a whole nother level. This was built by Rad Rods by Troy, and holy crap if he didn't hit the friggin' thing out of the park. This thing is a riot.
Well, when the Belvedere project started and David came to us, and kind of talked about it, and David had an agenda list of what he wanted to achieve with the car, and he told me the story about driving one like that to school, and him and his dad worked on it and all that. I'm thinking, that's cool. And he had a Viper, I knew that, and then wanting to go 9s and go 200, and I'm like, okay. And I'm like, well, Dave, why don't we tub the thing? No, I don't want to tub it. I'm like, okay, all right, we're an 8-inch wheel. And how about we hammer it on the ground? That's the best thing you can do aerodynamically. I've been in a wind tunnel a lot. No, we don't want it too low. We don't want to give it away. I'm like, okay. So you're like, all right. So it made it a taller order, but we love challenges. We want to do the things here that nobody else wants to do. We create our own problems, but we want to solve problems, And like any of them, it really evolved. David's very in order, and he's an engineer. He came with a spreadsheet on the car, and I'm like, you might as well wipe your ass with that thing because, that's way over my head. One thing changes this whole side of the spreadsheet, so that's where we kind of say, you got to let the car tell you what it wants a little bit. And I tell people that sometimes, and if they're not into cars, they're like, I don't think they really get it, Like if you start with a rendering and it's clear cut, like we talked a little, you get too zoned in on that and you miss the car, I think. You got to get into it. Like a lot of them, we'd build the car, put it down on the ground the first time, and then really see, and then it really starts telling you what it wants,
Now, why did David Meyer, the owner, why did he build this machine? Well, that's a pretty simple answer. Actually, it's 3 different answers. David wanted a car that would run under 10 seconds in the quarter mile. He achieved that because he ran 970, not a big deal, right? He also wanted a car that he could run 1,000 or 2,000 miles in a clip doing hot rod drag week or running on the power tour. Boom, achieved that too. He's already done that. And 3, he wanted a car that would blitz the standing mile at over 200 miles an hour. He did that too. This car went 208 in the standing mile. 526 cubic inch Hemi, and I'm running at 180 degrees on the thermostat right now. And it drives beautifully. This car has a trailer hitch on it that's located behind the license plate. And that trailer hitch serves 2 purposes. Well, one, obviously it tows the trailer when he goes on like drag week and stuff like that. And 2, it holds the parachute. This lever right here, this big pull lever right here, that says parachute, is awesome.
With me in it and a full tank of gas, it weighs 4,895 pounds. So yeah, it's definitely not a lightweight car, which again goes to the whole all-purpose build of the car. It wasn't built to only be a drag race car. If it was, we would have done a lot of things differently. It's got the steel hood off my '66 Belvedere from high school on there. It's got steel bumpers on it. The only things that we've done to try to take weight out of the car really are the aluminum block, aluminum heads, and that was more for weight distribution rather than absolute weight reduction. It's got over 400 pounds of Dynamat, sound deadening material. It wasn't made to only be a drag car. It's made to be a nice, comfortable street cruiser that also does under 10 seconds. We were in a 973 with it at 150 miles an hour on drag week, and then it hits 208 miles an hour in standing mile.
Top speed, we were trying to figure this out between the gearing of the car and the power that it puts out. We're thinking top speed is somewhere in the neighborhood of, 252 to 257, around there. That's fast. So much fun! Look at the interior of this car. Look at the fit and the finish. Look at the quality of the leather. Look at the quality of the door panels and the center console. Look at the seams and the gaps. Look at how the roll cage has been integrated into the car in such a way that from the outside, you really don't even see it unless you see the crossbar in the back. In my rearview mirror, I have a backup camera and navigation. He kills it with this car. He built what I am going to call a masterpiece. The execution that Troy did in this car is above and beyond, I think, any muscle car that I've driven to date. But I have been in very few cars that make fun of you. And this car makes fun of you. This car basically looks at you and goes, you don't have it. You don't have the balls to do what I'm built to do. And you're basically like, well, I kind of have the balls. And the car goes, no, you don't. And you're like, well, I wish I had the balls. And the car goes, I wish you did too, because you're just kind of wasting my potential. Now, David, 208. So what do you say except for... If you like this episode of The House of Muscle and want to see more, there's a brand new one available right now on MotorTrend On Demand.
So I wanted to build a car that reminded me of the cars that were on the road when I was a kid.
Makes Mike feel like a kid. And as he puts it, when he gets in this car, he's like, dude, I'm 16. I'm 16 years old.
If you asked any guy that built a car that didn't want some sense of acknowledgement, well, dude, that is freaking badass. He's lying.
Each new episode of The House of Muscle premieres exclusively on MotorTrend On Demand.